Weight training is very effective at building muscle, but cardio activity is far more effective at burning calories. And then on top of that, nutrition. If that's not in check, then none of it really matters at all. Today, I'm going to break down the exercises that are best for burning calories. And just a quick note before we go any further, if you prefer content that is more concise, more straightforward, more to the point, fewer tangents, potentially fewer rambles, although how you don't like a ramble or a tangent is beyond me. Then I have another channel where I aim just to provide more concise, straightforward, to the point content. And it's done with an interesting background, so you don't have to look at me or my gym or part of my gym behind me. And yeah, it's just an alternative for you if you want it in the description below. Otherwise, stick around, you might enjoy this, and who knows, you might actually gain a tip or two. Nutrition simply can't be underestimated. It doesn't matter what you do if you don't have nutrition in place adequately, unless you are a very, very special and genetically gifted individual, then it won't matter what you do. In the weight room or in the kitchen, you won't get results. Nutrition is the thing to concentrate on the most, and then build your exercise around that. One example of this could be you could spend hours and hours and hours on exercise just to burn off a donut. Or, who knows, a small pizza. Who enjoys a small pizza anyway? If you want to have a pizza, you want to have a big pizza, right? But then you do that and it's so many calories. And do you ever sit there and think to yourself, I wonder how many miles, kilometers that I have to jog or run or walk in order to burn off this average size pizza? Especially if you've restricted yourself to a small one, then you've got to deal with having a small pizza plus all these hours of running. Who wants to do that? So get your nutrition right and then go from there. So yeah, get your nutritional plan right and it'll be like night and day, I promise. If that's the only thing you take away from this video or this recording podcast, call it what you like, me in front of you, then get your nutrition spot on. I have heard of some studies out there that say that cardio is much more effective at burning body fat. So if anything, tag it on the end of a resistance training session in order to maximize the number of calories that you're burning at any one time. There's even a school of thought out there about going for a brisk walk in order to notch up the number of calories that you burn. Perhaps try and do X number of steps in order to, mount up the number of calories that you're burning, so you can have your celebration to yourself at the end of the day to say, yay, I've burnt X number of calories. But there's a big problem with that, is that it's just steps at the end of the day. How big are your steps compared to somebody else who has longer legs or maybe shorter legs? Who knows? What does it all mean at the end of the day? Plus, when the fact that you can't actually count the number of calories that are burnt, let alone from how many steps that you've done. It's just like saying, can I have a portion of this? Well, how much of it do you want? I've done so many steps. Well, what does that actually mean? So yeah, big problem with the whole brisk walking, step counting, calorie meter train of thought. Sorry to break that to anyone that likes to walk and count steps and calories. So I'll address my thoughts as I go on regarding all of that. Don't just take it at face value. You've got to have a little bit of substance behind that too, and hopefully that's what I'll provide you with a little later on. But first, just some of the key points to cover here is that cardio tends to hurt muscle development, especially type 2 muscle development, which is what we work on in the gym with resistance training for strength and hypertrophy, which is of course muscle size development. And resistance training helps all of that to counter any effect that the cardio may have. And the muscle that we have is really important to support the fat loss that we want. So it's kind of like a circular effect there of cardio resistance and then fat loss. And that whole cycle that we really want to focus on here. So as we go through this video, we'll analyze that particular relationship and the calories burnt, the muscles maintained, and the fat loss likely to be burnt. But I can see from everyone's point of view, the logical answer would be, let's just do more cardio and combine it with weight training, because that means we'll burn more calories and therefore surely we'll then get the result that we're looking for, and that body fat will just disappear into thin air over time, of course. That's the result that we want, and that's the result that makes sense, right? After you burn all those calories and commit to developing as much muscle as you can. So let's first look at some important aspects of resistance training. Perhaps that will contribute towards some calories burnt in the gym. Now, there are some studies out there that claim, and I've heard others talk about it as well, and experience within the gym myself and talking to others, getting a well-rounded approach to all this is pretty critical. But the claim is that lifting lighter weights for more reps is better because it will burn more calories. That's the claim to have a think about. But the problem is that when you're lifting light weights in the gym, the question you've got to ask yourself is, how much of a challenge are you providing to yourself in order to stimulate more muscle growth? And you stimulate maximum muscle growth by rising to a maximum challenge, taking yourself close to or to failure. The question is, can you do that? Can you get to that point of failure or close to it by lifting light weights? And by light weights, I'm not talking about lifting 2 kilos for hundreds of repetitions when you normally lift 40 kilos. I'm talking about a slight decrease in the amount that you're lifting. Rather than 40, you might lift 25 or 30, and then you're extending the number of reps. So rather than doing 5 to 10, you might be doing 15 to 20 or thereabouts. No defined number again. But that concept is the one that we're referring to here when we say more reps, lighter weight equals more calories. In order to get to that point where you're stimulating maximum muscle growth, which will then help with fat loss, will help with calories, you've got to get to the point where you're challenging the muscles the most. Now, if you're coming to the end of a set, there's only 8 repetitions, for example, because the weight is of the nature or heavy enough in order for 8 reps or 6, 7, 8 reps to be of that challenge, then it's tough. It's really hard work to actually lift that weight with proper form and technique and really practice that properly. Whereas when you get to a lighter weight and you're doing it for more and more repetitions, is that not a waste in the first instance, and then it's the later part that is a challenge? Or is it all worthwhile? Does every rep tend to count? And what is the challenge at the end? When you're doing your 20th rep or 25th rep, for example, what is it actually like? And is it harder than lifting a much heavier weight? These are all questions to really have a think about. And then there's the compound exercises too. Fantastic exercise. So a compound exercise is when you're using multiple joints for an exercise, and no doubt that'll be accompanied by extra muscle groups, or multiple rather, muscle groups. So a squat, a deadlift, for example, would be that of a compound exercise. A bicep curl, which just uses your elbow joint and just uses primarily the bicep muscle group, that would be what we refer to as an isolation exercise. I have my gripes about the isolation thing, because in order to perform any kind of exercise at all, we have a prime mover, that would be the bicep in that isolation exercise. And then we always have synergists and fixators as well. Fixators manage to hold everything in place for the movement to occur. This could be our deltoids, for example. And then the synergists are the ones that come along and help out. More so at the end of a movement or a set rather than at the beginning. But it could be your trapezius, for example, that just helps out. It could be a hamstring, just sort of, trying something in the background, which isn't unheard of at all. Although I've never pulled a hamstring doing a bicep curl before, fortunately. Never say never though. Leave a comment below if you've ever pulled a hamstring doing a bicep curl. I think it'd be fantastic. I'll have to screenshot it and display it on my wall or next to the mirror there as a reminder that there's someone out there that's done that. But the fixators and the synergists are all muscles, and they all help out, and they all get pre-exhausted by doing the workout. So it's not like they're fresh as anything after having helped the bicep. So I can't subscribe to compound in isolation. Everything seems to be compound to a degree. And it's just how much compound and how intense it is, which of course a deadlift and a squat are pretty much the kings of exercises in my books that really tax the body, cause the most calories to be burnt, and really give you a hard workout. And another way to really burn calories during your weight training sessions is to hone in on the smaller things, the technique, the form, the tempo, the rest periods that you're having in between one set and another really goes a long way to making the body work hard, especially when it's a heavier weight and you're at that point of being close to failure or at failure itself, and it's just immensely hard work. And with that comes a large calorie burn. But then, having said that, and considering the rest aspect, there's the circuit training aspect as well. Circuit training generally tends to allow you to do more things in a condensed period of time. So then the argument would be, am I not better off just doing circuit training rather than weight training, if you can separate the two as simplistically as that? Couple of problems there though is that with that rest period and everything being done in such a condensed period of time, if you're doing it in a class environment, you've got a certain tempo to keep up with. Those around you, maybe subconsciously or consciously, you are keeping in time with them. There's a lot of room there for things to go wrong, for fatigue to set in, for a bit of an injury, tweak or two here or there, impingements in your shoulders, which are a pain in the ass. There's a lot of room for a lot of things to go wrong with the whole circuit concept. So let's just pull all that together, really. We've got the lightweight versus heavyweight. We've got the compound exercises versus isolation exercises. We've got the circuit training versus the non-circuit training. And this is all in the name of expending as many calories as we possibly can during our workouts. And therein lies the problem. It's fairly common advice to have people say, right, focus on strength on this workout or focus on calorie burn for this workout. Which one are you going to do? Which one is in line with your goals, etc. And that is something that I have a bit of a gripe with, a bit of a problem with. Don't think it's very effective. I think that you've got to look at the bigger picture here. And the bigger picture consists of things such as technique and form, nutrition, rest, recovery, injury, and most of all, and this is the kicker here, if we could have some neon lights or something. I don't have any neon lights, but this is the time that I would put the neon lights on, is that it is what happens after a workout. That is what is important. You're building up all through your workout to make sure that the after effect, the after burn, is what you need it to be. I would recommend that the workout be, the intent of the workout rather, be to stimulate as much muscle growth and or strength as you can. And then in doing that, you've got the best shot of what happens after the workout being as ideal as you can. What happens during a workout and what number of calories that you've probably burnt in that period of time in the gym is pretty much irrelevant. It certainly shouldn't be the focus of what you're doing, and it shouldn't be playing on your mind as to how many calories I have burnt by running 20 minutes on a treadmill, for example. Maybe it's that donut. Maybe you've burnt a donut off, who knows? Or a small pizza, if you choose to consume a small pizza. So just don't get caught up in the number on the day. You can't actually determine how many calories that you've burnt anyway. There is no way of any heart rate monitor telling you a number or any display screen giving you anything of accuracy inside of a gym unless you've got all the VO2 max technology hooked up and you're breathing through a mask or that kind of thing. So get more hooked up on having a productive workout, and then afterwards, that's what matters. Because if you've worked really hard and you're giving your body an awful lot to recover from, it's been so hard, you've stimulated muscle growth, and now afterwards, that's where the body goes to work, and that's where it burns through a tremendous amount of energy trying to restore you back to the way that you were and a little bit better than the position that you started off in. So the question of cardio with resistance training, more often than not, people recommend it to be added onto the end of a resistance training session. That would be my recommendation too, because the resistance training should take priority. The question is, should it be included at all at the end? Calories is what we have here in mind. We want to stimulate the most that we possibly can and then allow the body to burn through at the end afterwards. Cardio has somewhat of an interference effect with the weight training that we do. It takes away some of the resources, doesn't allow muscle to always be built to the extent that it can be. It's a debatable subject, sure, but in my opinion, and through all the years, I would say that it definitely exists. I am far more productive and get better results when I exclude cardio from after or from any form of time slot in my life, for the lack of a better word. See, resistance training causes calorie expenditure during a workout. Resistance training causes an after effect after a workout. And resistance training makes muscle to be produced. That's a terrible phrase. Makes muscle to be produced. Resistance training causes muscles to be made stronger, built stronger, and that causes a lot of energy to be expended by the body. So there's a threefold reasons there as to why resistance training trumps cardio. Cardio does not have that after effect. High intensity interval training will have the most effect after a workout, but still it's not right up there in the upper echelons of resistance training. Glad I got that word right. And on the weight training side of things, there's a little bit about time efficiency. You might want to try and think, right, I'll condense everything into as short a period as I can in order to just get through the workout or be more efficient. But the question that I'd have for you there is, when you are in the weight room and you are taking shorter rests between one set and another, the question is, how much have you recovered? And if you haven't recovered sufficiently, then I would argue that you are not then able to have as a productive set next time, so therefore you don't stimulate as much change as you could do if you were fully rested and recovered. So in order to get the most bang for your buck, to stimulate the most change, to get the biggest afterburn, and to cause the body to expend energy to fix you up at the end of your workout, you want that workout to be as fully charged, if you like, as you can. And resting will allow you to do that. Much the same can be said for compound exercises. Compound exercises, rather than isolation exercises, engage the biggest number of muscle groups and the largest muscle groups themselves, and therefore you're creating one hell of a stimulus That's why it's so hard. That's why you're so buggered in between each set, especially legs. Yeah. If anyone has ever done a hard leg workout, let me know in the comments below how you feel. Scale of 1 to 10, how buggered are you? 5, you can get up and go again. 10, you're laid out on the ground and you're breathing to try and get yourself back to any sense of normality or feeling human again. That kind of workout is going to burn a lot of calories, both in the moment, after the moment, and then over the next few days as the body starts to repair itself. I won't bother editing that out. It's all part of it. I'm only human after all. So the takeaway point there is intensity matters. And the whole point of this video is how to achieve that intensity and how to achieve that calorie burn, both during and after and beyond. So to summarize and wrap all of this up, we've got nutrition first and foremost. You can manipulate your nutrition to take away so many calories away from your daily intake. You can create that deficit with a small amount of planning and then of course execution. And resistance training is so important to stimulate that change and to make that body work really hard, both in the moment and following. And cardio can play a slight role. It might be a psychological thing for you to do because you enjoy it. In that case, do it because you need to enjoy what you're doing. But if cardio is specifically to burn calories in the moment of the workout, then I would put that thought aside and just think of how important the nutritional side and the weight training side and what you can do with time and rest and compounds and reps and sets, that all will contribute towards burning the most amount of calories. And it's never about in that 45-minute to an hour slot, which you may adhere to, but it's about what happens following the gym session. That's the key takeaway point here. Hope you've enjoyed the session. I've been Simon. I still am Simon, and I'll be Simon again tomorrow and in future videos from the Deep South experiment here. And it's all about mindset, fat loss, and building muscle. 3 fantastic, fascinating subjects that I have in my mind at all times, basically. Aren't I the lucky bugger? So if you've enjoyed this content and you would like to see more, then it may surprise you that I would ask that you subscribe, like, and leave a comment below if you have anything productive or unproductive to say. It's always good to interact. Thanks very much and goodbye. See you next time.